I baked a birthday cake for Tina myself, and she asked me to take it to her first love's place. In the pouring rain, I heard him sing happy birthday to her softly. She let him make the wish. After coming home, I had a 41-degree fever, and she hung up on me directly. "Don't bother me. I'm with Simon." Before I passed out, a neighbor broke in and saved me. This time, I handed her the divorce papers myself. Tina called while I was making her birthday cake. "Hey, Tina, you're done? The cake Gary, is the cake ready? Just bring it to this address." She cut me off. A location ping popped into the chat coldly. "Bring it there? Where? Didn't we agree you'd come home tonight and we'd..." "Changed plans," she interrupted impatiently. "We'll celebrate at Simon's instead. It's more convenient for him. Simon, that's her first love. The memory she can't erase. The obstacle in our marriage we can't get around." On our wedding night, she got a weak-sounding call from Simon saying he was alone and scared. Without hesitation, she dressed and left after saying, "Simon needs me," disappearing into the night. She forgot my own health issues like my sensitive stomach. She used to take care of me so considerately when I wasn't well. That's why I decided to be with her. But that night's suit became the most ironic tribute of my 3-year marriage. No closeness, just day after day of coldness and her disappearing act every time Simon needed her. "Aren't you done yet?" She seemed oblivious to my silence, or maybe she just didn't care. She texted me Simon's address without another word. She hung up abruptly, leaving the dial tone taunting me. The location was on the other side of town. It was raining so hard I didn't dare to drive, so I had to catch a cab. However, it felt like the universe was out to get me. Every cab was full. By the time I finally got a taxi, I was already wet from the rain. When I arrived, I grabbed the cake box, took a deep breath, and opened the car door. Cold rain drenched me immediately, making me shiver. My jacket was heavy and freezing now, sticking to my skin and chilling me to the bone. I ran, protecting the cake from the rain. As I reached the door and was about to ring the bell, I heard voices inside. "Happy birthday to you," sang Simon. Okay, I sang my birthday song. Now I get to make a wish. Why do you make the wish every year on my birthday? Tina's tone was one I'd never heard before, soft and teasing, laced with a smile. "I don't care. I need more wishes for myself. And your wishes are mine too. Tina, fine, all my wishes for you." I froze there, the laughter from inside piercing through the cold rain and heavy door, stabbing my ears. "Oh, where's the cake? Hasn't Gary brought it yet?" Simon asked with a hint of fake confusion. "He should be close." I reminded him. Tina's voice was back to her usual calm, but a trace of patience remained. "It's pouring outside. It's understandable if he's slow." Slow? Turns out, in her eyes, I was just the servant who took his time delivering a cake. Nothing more than that. Suddenly, all the strength in my fingers vanished, and the cake box I'd protected all the way dropped to the rain-soaked steps with a thud. I spun around, stumbling away into the torrential rain like I was escaping a plague, not looking back once. Back home, after closing the door, exhaustion hit me hard, making even the effort to undress unbearable. Everything went black and my ears buzzed. This can't go on. Desperation drove me to find my phone. Water on my hands made the fingerprint unlock fail repeatedly, and my blurred vision couldn't quite catch the contacts. I tapped on the all-too-familiar name Tina by sheer memory. The long ringtone felt like a hammer strike to my ears, each one pounding deeper. Just when I thought no one would answer, came her voice. "Hello? Why hasn't the cake been delivered?" "Tina, my voice cracked terribly. I feel awful, my head. It hurts. I'm so cold. Can you, please?" I struggled to finish, to ask her to take me to the hospital, but a violent cough stopped me, racking my body, leaving only painful gasps. Silence. Then Tina's voice came back, noticeably annoyed. "Gary, stop playing games. Okay? You don't want to bring the cake? Just say it. No need to make stuff up. Thank goodness, Simon, and I didn't wait for you." The busy signal droned on, cutting off my last thread of hope. Before I completely blacked out, only my own labored, Weakening breaths echoed in my ears, growing fainter. 41 degrees. Lung infection. Acute pneumonia. Unconscious. If a bit later, the snippets of conversation were distant, carried by a professional calm, tinged with subtle relief. It's like my consciousness was struggling up from a cold seabed. I fought to open my eyes, focusing slowly after several seconds. An unfamiliar, concerned woman's face emerged, young, wearing a crisp lab coat with thin, framed glasses. Her eyes were steady and gentle. Seeing me wake, she visibly relaxed, leaning in slightly, her voice soft. "You're awake? How do you feel? Don't worry, you're in the hospital. I'm Annie. I live across from you." Annie? A neighbor? The young doctor I'd barely seen? Scattered memories began falling into place. Rain, a ruined cake, laughter through the door crack, Tina's "stop it." It wasn't a dream. Dulled despair coated by realization swept over me, cutting deeper than any fever or pneumonia could. My throat felt raw and burning. I tried to speak, but only a hoarse breath escaped my mouth. "Don't talk yet," Annie quickly advised. She naturally dipped a cotton swab in warm water and gently moistened my cracked lips. "You have a high fever, acute pneumonia, and you even fainted for a moment. Luckily, I heard something unusual outside your door last night. I knocked but got no response, so I knew something was off and got the property manager to force the door open." She paused, her eyes behind her glasses expressing relief. "A little later and who knows what could have happened. You're okay now. Just rest and leave the rest to me." Her calm tone and professional care helped soothe my frayed nerves. Under Annie's attentive watch, I got through the critical period, and the fever gradually subsided. As my neighbor and lifesaver, Annie would stop by after work daily, sometimes bringing light porridge, sometimes just asking a few questions, always with a perfect sense of timing and space. Once, she brought a small bunch of fresh sunflowers and placed them in a glass bottle on the windowsill. Their golden faces turned toward the sun, adding a touch of life to the icy hospital room. Looking at the flowers and then at me, her eyes carried a complex emotion. "Gary, she said softly, sunflowers always chase the sun. People should always grow toward warmth, too." Her words carried an implied meaning that gently stirred something in me. During this time, Tina never showed up. The day I was discharged, Annie drove me home. Back at my cold, empty apartment, Annie helped tidy up a bit and reminded me to take my meds and rest well. "Thanks, Annie." Leaning against the door frame, still weak but feeling a bit brighter thanks to those sunflowers, I said, "You've been a big help through all of this." "No problem, just lending a hand," she replied with a warm smile, grabbing her coat to leave. "Get some rest, and call me if you need anything. I'm right next door." Just as she was turning to leave, I took a deep breath and called out, "Annie." She stopped and turned back, her gaze inquisitive. Looking into her calm and reliable eyes, I found no pity, only a reassuring steadiness. My voice was soft but unusually clear and firm. "Annie, I need your help with something." "Sure," she responded immediately, standing up straight. "I want a divorce." Those words brought an unprecedented sense of relief. I couldn't keep going like this. I wanted to end things with Tina. Annie's eyes flickered briefly, then filled with a light I couldn't yet fathom. "All right," she answered crisply. "What do you need me to do?" I admitted, a bit embarrassed, "I don't really understand the legal stuff and I don't have the energy to run around law firms. Could you introduce me to a reliable divorce lawyer? I want to draft a divorce agreement, quickly if possible." Annie nodded immediately. "No problem. I know a very professional and principled marriage lawyer with a great reputation. I'll contact her and let her know your situation and what you want so she can start on a draft quickly. Once you feel better or are ready, I'll go with you to meet her and sort out the details." Her quick and professional response, with no extra words, felt like a solid support I could finally lean on. "Thank you, Annie." This time, my gratitude was filled with so many complex emotions: appreciation, trust, and a resolve to start anew. "Don't mention it." She gave me a deep look, which seemed to say, "You've finally stepped out," feeling gratified. "Rest well and leave the rest to me. Sunflowers, remember, need to grow toward the sun. Mentioning sunflowers again, she left with an encouraging smile, gently closing the door behind her. As for Tina, the woman in whom I had invested all my passion and hope, she vanished after that night. No calls, no messages. It was like the husband seeking help on a stormy night was just an inconsequential episode to her. When she got the divorce papers, she probably didn't care at all. A little after my discharge, I went for a follow-up checkup at the hospital. As I entered the hospital lobby, a startlingly familiar figure suddenly appeared before me. Tina. She was carefully supporting someone, her movements almost reverent. The person in her embrace was Simon. He looked a bit pale, dressed in a soft casual outfit, one hand over his chest, with a pampered yet satisfied smile. My heart stopped, and my blood seemed to freeze instantly. Why were they here? Simon's gesture, an absurd and terrifying thought, struck me like lightning. At that moment, Simon saw me too. His eyes widened in momentary surprise, replaced quickly by unabashed smugness and provocation. He gently tugged Tina's sleeve, speaking just loud enough for me to hear. Tina, look, it's Gary. Tina looked up at the sound, her brow furrowing in immediate disdain upon seeing me. She instinctively shielded Simon, as if I were some monstrous threat. What are you doing here? She snapped, her voice laden with evident distaste and suspicion. I tightened my grip on my medical records, all the resentment, anger, and unwillingness surging to the surface. Seeing her guard Simon so protectively, seeing his triumphant grin, lit a fierce fire inside me. Tina, is this hospital owned by your family? You can come, but I can't? My voice trembled from the mixture of emotion and weakness, yet sharp with defiance. What's the matter? Your dear Simon's delicate health acting up again, needing you, the official wife, to personally attend to him? Gary. Tina's face turned a stormy gray, scolding me sharply. Watch your words. Simon's just feeling a bit of chest discomfort, so I'm bringing him for a checkup. Quit causing trouble here. Am I being unreasonable? I'm shaking with anger. Tina, ask yourself honestly. 3 years of marriage, what do you take me for? Some kind of on-call maid? A prop for your parents? On our wedding night, you went to him. On my birthday, I was in the rain delivering a cake to him. I was burning up with fever, near death, and you hung up on me to be with him. What do you want now? My outburst drew some sidelong glances. Tina's face turned pale, and Simon looked all teary-eyed, shrinking closer to Tina. Enough, Gary. You're completely irrational. Tina was furious. Simon is 1,000 times better than you. At least he's considerate and doesn't whine like you, throwing tantrums everywhere. With all this drama, who would ever want you? Her cruel words made me go dark for a moment, and I swayed from anger and weakness. That's when a steady arm supported my shoulder, keeping me grounded. Tina, watch your language. Annie's voice was low, but there was an undeniable chill and force to it. I hadn't noticed her beside me, but her sharp eyes were fixed on Tina. Tina was clearly caught off guard by Annie's appearance. She recognized the doctor who handed her the divorce papers, and her face twisted in annoyance. You again? Annie? This is between my husband and me. Stay out of it. Husband? Annie's lips curled into a small, mocking smile, and her grip on my shoulder tightened. If I'm not mistaken, Gary has made it clear he's divorcing you. You're in the process of ending your marriage. Besides, bringing your lover here to publicly insult your not yet ex-husband, doesn't that embarrass you? You! Tina was at a loss for words, her face red. Simon felt the disdain in Annie's gaze, his face changing colors. Annie ignored them, looked down at me, her voice softening with concern. Gary, your meds are ready. Let's get out of here, the air's not so great. With an arm around my shoulder in a protective gesture, she led me out without acknowledging Tina and Simon's glares. That hospital scene only strengthened my resolve to divorce. Once I felt a bit better, I contacted the lawyer again. I didn't want property or the house, just a quick, complete severance of this disgusting relationship. I faced Tina again at the lawyer's office. Tina arrived late as usual, wearing her typical look of indifference and impatience, as if she were signing an insignificant contract. She barely glanced at the revised agreement, then sneered. Giving up everything? What's your game, Gary? Acting noble? Trying to make me feel guilty? Just sign, Tina. My voice was tired but calm. Let yourself go. Let me go too. We're long past anything worth keeping. The past 3 years were just a ridiculous mistake. My calm seemed to sting her. She showed a flicker of stiffness before reverting to irritation. Fine. As you wish. Eager to rid herself of the hassle, or angry at my clear boundary, she hastily signed her name with a dramatic flourish. The scratch of the pen on paper severed our last, imaginary tie, marking the official end of our cold 3-year marriage. The lawyer gathered the documents, confirmed everything, and I stood, eyes on the lawyer. Johnny, does this mean that legally we're no longer married? Yes, Gary. All the paperwork is complete. Your marriage is officially dissolved. Thank you, I murmured, as if verifying a mundane fact, then turned away without looking at Tina, heading straight for the door. Outside, a familiar car pulled up. Annie stepped out, having perfectly timed her arrival, waiting for me. Is it done? She asked, her eyes gentle with subtle concern. Yeah, completely done. I nodded, feeling a lightness in my smile that I hadn't experienced in months. Tina followed out, catching sight of Annie and me smiling at each other. Her face darkened, signing frustration turning into malice. She stepped forward, gaze darting between us, a mean-spirited smirk forming. Oh, that's what's happening. You ditched everything so quickly because you already have a replacement lined up? Quick work, Gary. Annie? She intentionally elongated her name with mocking emphasis. So you're playing the helpful neighbor, huh? Her vile words dripped with insult. I shook with anger, ready to retort, but Annie stepped between us first. Standing straight, she looked directly at Tina, exuding a cold presence that made Tina take an involuntary step back. Annie wasn't just the warm neighbor doctor now, she felt like a guardian. Tina. Annie's voice was firm, resonating in the street with unyielding authority. Watch your tongue. Gary is no longer legally tied to you. His life is none of your concern, let alone yours to disrespect. As for me, she paused, looking at me with unveiled, steadfast emotion, then turned back to Tina. I've been waiting a long time, waiting for the chance to stand by him openly and protect him from getting hurt again. The opportunity you wasted, I'll make sure to cherish. She put out her hand, signaling Tina to leave, firm and undeniable. So, please, take your dirty thoughts and stay away from him. Otherwise, I won't mind teaching you a thing or two about respect and consequences. She made that gesture again, and it completely rattled Tina. She probably never imagined that this seemingly gentle doctor could have such a fierce side. And she definitely didn't expect Annie to say something so blunt in public. Tina looked troubled, her lips moving like she wanted to say something harsh, but under Annie's cold, piercing gaze, she just huffed, looking embarrassed and a little scared, and then turned and hurried away. Watching her hurried figure fade away around the street corner, I finally began to relax, a mix of feeling wronged and scared overwhelming me, and I couldn't stop my eyes from welling up. It's over now. Annie turned to me, her eyes softening. She gently patted me on the shoulder. It's all in the past. I'm here now. Annie was there to help the entire time I was moving out of the apartment. She was quick and thorough, packing things up neatly and getting to the heavy stuff before I could. She even wrapped fragile items in thick padding. Watching her busy, caring presence made me feel secure. While going through old stuff, I found an old photo in a dusty college album. It was taken backstage at a school auditorium during a speech competition. There I was, in a white shirt, holding a trophy, bursting with pride, next to a shyly smiling girl in a volunteer vest. It was a much younger Annie. Had we really met this long ago? I showed the photo to Annie, who was carefully packing books. Hey Annie, look at this picture. We met a long time ago. She paused for a moment, then a soft, slightly helpless smile appeared. She put down the book, walked over, took the photo, her fingers gently brushing over the image of a younger me. Yes, that was junior year. Your college hosted a citywide debate tournament. I was a logistics volunteer. You were so sharp and articulate in the finals, it was like you were glowing. Afterward, there was a crowd congratulating you, and I just sneaked in for a photo, hoping you'd notice me. She paused, looking at me with deep, slightly embarrassed eyes, nostalgic. Later, I found out more about you, learned your name is Gary, and that you were the best debater that year. But back then, I was just a nobody in med school, watching quietly from afar. Later, I heard you had a girlfriend, and she was quite impressive. It made me hide my feelings. Her voice grew a little softer. Then, about 6 months ago, I saw your records in the hospital system. Realized you were married and living in the complex I was managing. Coincidentally, the unit across the hall from you became available. Her gaze was steady and honest. I'll admit, I rented it with a bit of selfish intent. I wanted to be near you, even just as a neighbor, seeing you around, knowing you were okay. I never meant to interfere in your life. Her voice wavered a bit. I couldn't bear seeing what you had to go through. I'm sorry. Had I been braver, sooner? Her words were warm and sincere, like a thawing force melting the ice around my heart left by the past. Turns out, that life-saving encounter was backed by years of careful watching and closeness. Annie, I looked at her, overwhelmed, but she saw my struggle. No pressure. She smiled gently, telling you this isn't about expecting anything right now. It's not a debt to repay. I just want you to know. She looked seriously. You've always been great, worthy of being cherished and treated right. Moving into a new home, starting fresh. I'll be here, as a suitor, waiting for you to turn and see me when you're ready for new possibilities. With Annie's quiet companionship, I was like a plant finally getting rain, able to grow past the shadow cast by Tina. Staring at a fridge devoid of dinner ideas, the doorbell rang. Annie stood there, eyes bright, holding a familiar thermal container. Hey, I made some yam and pork rib soup. It's light and good for the stomach, she said casually, as if talking about the weather. Taking the heavy container, warmth spread from my fingertips to my heart. Felt surreal. I used to cook for Tina, but she'd only criticize or say she wasn't hungry, never caring if I was, let alone cook for me. I teased. Annie, your house is on the east, mine on the west. Your on the way is quite a stretch, huh? Her ears seemed to redden slightly, but she remained adorably earnest. I was at a meeting at the community hospital, found a new route back. And your balcony angle is great for sunset and solving medical puzzles. I chuckled, the warmth in my heart like melting sugar. Is it for medical puzzles, sunsets, or making sure I eat? A bit of everything. She smiled warmly. Now enjoy while it's hot. Yes, ma'am. I playfully saluted her, earning a serene yet indulgent shake of her head. Life started getting back on track. I found a job I loved, where I could use my skills, and slowly settled into online courses. The weekend afternoon was just beautiful with the sun shining bright. Annie came by and suggested we go for a walk at the nearby wetlands park. Want to go for a walk? Some fresh air would do us good. Better than being cooped up at home drawing, she said, leaning against the doorframe with a relaxed look, twirling her car keys in her hand. Sure, my neck's a bit stiff anyway, I replied, standing up and stretching, feeling my whole body loosen up. The path in the park was winding with dappled shade from the trees. We strolled side by side, enjoying the rare leisure and each other's company. How's the new job? Is that grinning boss still giving you a hard time? Annie asked, her tone caring and her gaze serious. It's all right. He actually praised me today for the clarity of my plan. My eyes lit up as I couldn't help but share this small achievement with her. You wouldn't believe it. Last week he made me revise the PPT 8 times. By the 8th time, I almost popped the delete key off the keyboard to throw at him. I exaggerated with my gestures. Annie chuckled at my tale. Her low laugh was soothing as a feather tickling my heart. Wonderfully pleasant. Sounds worthy of a keyboard toss. But you held up, so kudos to you. She paused, a hint of pride in her voice. I told you you've got potential, you'll handle it. Your designs have spirit, they just need time to shine. Exactly, I said, a bit proudly with my chin up. That feeling of being acknowledged was amazing. Tina would just complain about the lights being too bright when I stayed up late to work. But that online design course is really tough. That 3D modeling software feels like it's mocking my intelligence. The interface is as confusing as a maze. Oh, which part has you stuck? Tell me about it? Annie naturally asked, stopping to focus on me. I'm not a designer, but I have a logical mind. Maybe I can help you figure it out? And so, along the quiet tree-lined path, it was just me ranting about the course and her gentle guidance and analysis. Her way of listening, treating it as something incredibly precious, worlds apart from Tina's impatience, where she always seemed to think I was wasting her time by talking. Looking at her, something quietly and completely collapsed in some corner of my heart, soft as mush. One night, I worked late and came home exhausted, only to find the hallway's motion sensor lights out. It was pitch dark, with only a weak glow coming through the window. The darkness immediately brought back unpleasant memories of a cold, rainy night, struggling alone in the dark and despair. My heart clenched and I unconsciously tightened my grip on my bag. As I pulled out my phone to use as a flashlight, a bright circle of light bloomed at my feet, lighting up my way home. The sudden light startled me enough to step back. "Who's there?" I blurted out. Squinting, I looked towards the source of the light. The beam rested steadily on the ground in front of me, like a small safe island. In the soft glow, I barely made out a figure by the door, in pajamas with a jacket thrown over, hair slightly messy. It was Annie. "What are you doing here?" The shock of seeing her completely overrode any lingering fear. I stared in disbelief. How was she here? At this time? Dressed like that? Annie stood in the shadow of the doorframe, holding a flashlight. She seemed a bit apologetic, her eyes shining brightly and warmly in the light. "Did I scare you?" "Sorry about that," she said with an apologetic smile. "I just moved in right next door." "Next door?" I repeated numbly, not fully processing her words. "Wasn't that place empty?" "She moved in? Where?" She seemed amused by my reaction. Her smile deepening and with a casual tone, dropped a bombshell. "Yep, it was priced to sell quickly. Sounded like a deal, so I bought it. Thought it would surprise you." "Bought it?" Those words went off like a bomb in my head. I gasped, freezing up, staring at her in disbelief. "Buy a house? Just to surprise me?" The information hit like a tidal wave, sweeping away any remaining fear, leaving just overwhelming shock and warmth. Turns out, someone could always be there when you need light. This crazy direct gesture, this small but heavy surprise, was something I never dared to hope for in 3 years of marriage with Tina. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. The key was still in my hand, the lock clearly visible in the flashlight's beam, but I was frozen. After a few seconds, I found my voice. "Did I wake you?" Sorry. "Nope, just up to get some water," she said nonchalantly, the flashlight beam steady on my lock, helping me see every move. As I opened the door, I noticed a familiar thermal bag on the ground. I picked it up and saw a sticky note with her neat, comforting handwriting. "Know you've been working late, something warm for your stomach. Rest well. Annie." Inside was a bowl of still warm red date millet porridge. I turned back to see her still standing at the door, holding the flashlight. "Annie." My voice cracked a little, clogged with 1,000 words that turned into just a simple, "Thank you for the porridge." "You're welcome. Get inside, it's cold, and drink while it's hot." "Okay." I nodded vigorously, about to step inside, but paused. A strong sense of reluctance and anticipation bubbled up. I turned back to her, a hint of excitement and shyness I hadn't noticed in myself, asking softly, "So, see you tomorrow?" Annie seemed a bit taken aback. Then, with a voice full of warmth, "Yeah, see you tomorrow, I'm waiting." Such simple "I'm waiting" felt sugary sweet. I quickly said, "Good night," almost darting inside, closing the door, leaning against it, unable to suppress a smile. The warm porridge seemed to carry that sweetness, too. Only after I shut the door, a moment later, did I hear her door close softly. The hallway fell silent again, darkness reclaiming its hold. But this time, My heart was full of anticipation for tomorrow. This time, the light didn't disappear, it lived next door, and we agreed to meet the next day. A typical Friday night, Annie said her department was unusually free, invited me to a new riverside restaurant to celebrate my project's success. I happily said yes. The food was exquisite and delicious. We chatted about work and the fun stuff in life. The atmosphere was relaxed and cheerful. "Try this, it's their signature dish," she suggested. I was looking down when Annie suddenly surprised me from behind with a bouquet of roses. "From the moment I saw you in college, your light shone into my life. Later, fate brought us back together. Watching you weather the storms, struggle to rise from the mud, and slowly shine again, my heart ached, but I was so thankful. Thankful to be close when you needed it most. Gary, I love you. It's not pity, not impulse. It's a deep-seated desire, appreciation, and the wish to protect you for a lifetime. You ask why I always seem to be around, why I always show up. Because walking towards you is the only road I want to take in this life. Protecting you is my nature." Her gaze fell on the flowers, then deeply into my eyes. "Gary, they say confessions often start with a bouquet. Will you be with me?" Tears welled up unexpectedly, blurring my vision. The stark contrast between past coldness and the rushing warmth of the present was overwhelming. Tina gave nothing but neglect and hurt. But Annie, with all her heart and actions, built a warm, solid safe haven for me. She knew my wounds and cherished my strengths. She offered respect, understanding, meticulous care, and an unwavering choice. My heart was so filled with joy and comfort, it almost overflowed. I looked at her. Tears fell as I beamed the brightest smile, nodding hard through the lump in my throat. "I will. Annie, I will." A huge glow of joy and relief exploded in Annie's eyes. She stood up, wrapped me in a tight embrace. The gentle applause and joyful laughter resonated in the restaurant. Everything else faded into the background. I buried my face into her warm neck, inhaling her familiar scent, feeling her strong heartbeat. "I love you, Gary. I love you too, Annie." I held her as if holding the whole world. "Thank you for waiting, for loving me all this time." Days with Annie are simple and warm. News about Tina seems to surface unintentionally, like ripples on water. Once, at a cafe near our place, Annie and I were discussing my new design ideas. Next to us, two well-dressed gentlemen were talking. One spoke in a lowered, gloating voice, "Tina, she's not doing well lately. Oh, isn't she with her true love Simon? Heard he treats her like a princess. He's indulgent, sure, but life's been rough. Our Jimmy works with her company. He said her home was a mess. That Simon, such a man, can't do any chores. Not like someone who could make a home. Back in the day with Gary, Tina always had hot meals waiting. Heard Gary knew the sweet to spicy ratio for her favorite sweet and sour ribs. Now, order in or let the maid cook and she's never satisfied. Changed maids over 10 times, and now nobody wants to work there. Last time her gastritis flared up, all she wanted was some porridge. Simon said it was troublesome and tossed her an instant pack instead. No way. She didn't say anything? What could she say? Her choice. Heard one night she wanted noodles after a late meeting. Simon just stormed off, her assistant ended up ordering takeout. Her face was priceless. I sipped my coffee feeling nothing inside. A while later, unusual signs appeared in the financial sections. Annie noticed on her tablet, "Seems like TG Group has trouble with their funds." I wasn't interested, just continued spreading jam on Annie's toast. Before long, rumors in social circles started swirling. Supposedly, Simon got into collecting antique paintings. Tina hesitated, thought the prices were too high, and the company's cash flow was tight. Simon threw a fit, accused her of changing, not loving him, not even supporting his small hobby. He stormed out, stayed in a hotel for days. Tina was at her wits' end, calming shareholders, and had to coax Simon back. Ultimately, that insanely expensive painting ended up in Simon's study. Simon's greed was insatiable. Tina's tolerance was steering herself toward the cliff edge. The collapse came swiftly and utterly. One weekend evening, After picking up some household items, Annie and I headed to a new restaurant nearby. Passing through the city center mall, a heated argument caught our attention. Under the mall's dazzling lights was Tina. She was desperately holding onto a well-dressed, arrogant man, Simon. Her face was a mix of chaos, anger, and humility. "Simon, you can't leave. Where did you put the money and the company seal?" Tina's voice was hoarse, trembling with despair. "The accounts are empty. The project's funding chain is broken. Creditors are blocking the doors. Tell me, what the heck did you do?" Simon flung her hand away, his usual gentleness replaced by unabashed coldness and disgust. "Tina, get your facts straight. That money was your allowance you willingly gave me. The seal? You handed it over drunk. Forgot already? The company's failures are on you, not me. Allowance? It was the company's lifeline. Billions. And those mortgage papers." Tina's eyes were wide with wrath, almost lunging at him. "I gave you everything. How could you do this to me?" "Everything?" Simon sneered, looking at her like trash. "Tina, what do you have other than some money? You're dull, rigid, don't even know what music I enjoy. Gary treated you like royalty, yet you ungratefully tossed him aside." His words cut into Tina like knives. "No, Simon, I love you," Tina cried out, overwhelmed by the crushing blow. It drained all strength from her. Her tall frame wavered, and in front of everyone, she collapsed to her knees, clutching Simon's leg, tears streaming down her face. "Simon, I'm begging you. Please, return some of the money. The company can't go under. It's my dad's life's work. I'm begging you. For everything I've done for you, I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't leave me." The scene was intense. The once proud, cold woman who was always so harsh with me was now pathetically kneeling at the feet of her so-called true love, begging. Simon, on the other hand, looked annoyed and eager to shake her off. He yanked his leg away, almost stepping on Tina's hand with his expensive shoe. "Get off me. Don't touch me. Disgusting," Simon snarled, adjusting his suit. His eyes briefly glanced over the crowd, meeting mine and Annie's gaze. Surprise flickered in his eyes, quickly replaced by a twisted, vengeful pleasure. He deliberately raised his voice, speaking to Tina on the ground, but it seemed intended for me too. "Tina, wake up. I never loved you. I only loved your money. Now that I have it, get smart and stop bothering me." With that, he walked off in style, heading straight for a pricey sports car waiting by the curb, and drove away without looking back. Tina was left kneeling pathetically, surrounded by onlookers either sympathetic or scornful, whispering among themselves. Annie gently put her arm around my shoulder. "Let's go. Don't let unrelated people ruin our appetite." I took one last look at Tina, kneeling on the cold tiles, seemingly abandoned by the world. There was no satisfaction in my heart, just a cold, detached indifference. This was the path she chose, the result of the true love she earned through betrayal and hurt. The news of TG Group's bankruptcy hit the financial headlines fast. Tina's properties and luxury cars were seized for debt. She vanished as if into thin air. I heard about her again on a chilly afternoon when I got a call from Annie. Her voice was somber. "Gary, there's something you should know. Tina's at our hospital in the oncology department. It's not looking good." Turns out, after her bankruptcy, Tina lived in a rundown apartment on the outskirts, lost in a haze. The drastic change in lifestyle, mental stress, plus a neglected stomach condition from her past socializing caught up to her. Her health deteriorated rapidly. Excruciating stomach pain, vomiting blood, severe weight loss. She held on until she couldn't and went to the hospital, only to be diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer with multiple metastases. Annie found out and felt compelled to tell me, not out of pity for Tina, but out of respect for me. I had a right to know. A few days later, I got a call from a familiar number. On the other end, she sobbed brokenly about Simon's betrayal, the company going under, and the horror of her cancer diagnosis. In her cold, shabby apartment, she endured the pain and harassment from creditors, relying on the cheapest painkillers. She finally realized the depth of her despair without Gary. She remembered coming home to warm meals, the dish she casually mentioned craving appearing on the table the next day, and the nights I stayed up, making millet porridge when her stomach hurt. She remembered the birthday cake I was ordered to take to Simon's, which ended up shattered in the rain, seen by her as she left the next day. Those neglected, even despised, memories were now her only source of comfort. This understanding, bought at the cost of her life and dignity, was ironically tragic. She humbly begged me to visit her, to talk to her anything, even just to take pity on her. I listened calmly to her rambling confession and begging, then declared in the most composed voice, "Tina, none of this involves me anymore. I've moved on. I have a new life now, and I'm happy. If you have any decency left, just don't appear in front of me again." Tina's life, like the last dead leaf in the autumn wind, withered and rotted away quickly in a cold, unknown corner. I stopped looking for any news about her. Her name, along with that dark past, has been completely sealed and discarded in my mind. One afternoon, I unexpectedly got a call from an unknown number. The person on the other side introduced themselves as a nurse from the hospital where Tina spent her last days. With a tone that was part formal, part professionally weary, and a little sympathetic, they informed me, "Ms. Tina passed away this morning at 6:15 due to multiple organ failure caused by late-stage stomach cancer." The nurse hesitated, possibly out of a bit of compassion for the deceased's last moments, and added, "Tina was in a lot of pain when she went, but her mind was surprisingly clear. In those final moments, it seemed like she was remembering something. Sometimes she would call out Gary, say cake, and sorry, but mostly she would scream Simon and curse him. She cursed him for deceiving her, cursed him for his cold heart, cursed herself for being blind. In her last few hours, she kept crying, constantly muttering the word retribution. There was no one with her. Sigh. Holding my phone, I looked at the gray sky and the cold rain outside without a single ripple of emotion. In the end, she faced the grim reality of Simon's money-driven love and finally remembered all I had done for her. Unfortunately, this late epiphany held no meaning. Her hell was self-made. I exhaled softly, and the white mist formed a small patch of fleeting warmth on the cold glass, quickly disappearing, leaving no trace, as if that past was exhaled and vanished into the air. Turning around, I saw Annie just got home from work, carrying fresh vegetables and a lively fish, with little raindrops clinging to her scarf. She changed her shoes and looked at me with gentle eyes. "Would you like some fish soup tonight? It's cold, good to warm up." "Sure." The kitchen soon hummed with the sounds of cooking, and the delicious aroma of fish soup started filling the air. Annie, wearing an apron, busied herself at the stove while I stood by helping to wash vegetables, occasionally exchanging a few words, contemplating whether to add some white pepper to the soup for warmth. The warm light enveloped us, casting our soft shadows on the wall. The past is dead, and my future, bathed in this warmth and care, is unfolding with vibrant life.